A very quick message before you start watching this video. So first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for watching this and for continuing to support my very, very small channel. I just need to prep you a little bit for this video because it's a little bit different. This was made back in January when Rivian loaned me one of their vehicles, which was the R1S Tri-Motor. So just a quick disclaimer, they did not pay me to make this video or even to say anything nice or even post this, as a matter of fact. The reason I'm posting it here on this channel, because originally it was posted in my main channel, is that because I think it suits the channel more. And I know there's a lot of apprehension around the subject of EVs. And I know a lot of people who watch this specifically don't really like EVs. I personally find them very interesting and very promising. And this product right here, although it's not perfect, I think it's a very compelling product and it definitely does show a lot of promise. So I ask you to give it a chance to actually watch this video if you can, the entire video, because it is a long video, but I think you will get to understand what my message is if you do so. So once again, I appreciate it and thank you so much. I hope you enjoy it. Our first experience living with an electric vehicle, we thought we were going to be fine. We weren't. Okay, the headrest is stuck. Card rejected. How do I adjust this? Okay, now it says it's on hold. I need to inflate one of the tires. I can hear the hissing. Okay, I can't even pull this. Nope, it's not charging. Is it on? Oh no, that's the radio. Oh, that's bad. Well, we definitely need to backtrack a little bit because that intro is not the entire story. So for context, earlier this year, I attended CES in Las Vegas and I had this amazing opportunity to work with Rivian. They actually let me borrow one of their cars to take to CES and just drive around for 2 weeks. So if you're not familiar with Rivian, they are a premium electric vehicle company here in the US and they currently have two products. The first one is the R1T pickup truck, and the second one is the R1S SUV. The one that they let me borrow for 2 weeks is the R1S Gen 2 Tri-Motor with 850 horsepower and a price tag of about $114,000. So it's super fast and super expensive. Now, I want to set the expectations for this video because it's a long video. So my approach to this project is more of like a journal. Everything that you'll see was not rehearsed or anything like that. I just tried my best to capture everything. And this is coming from the perspective of an EV illiterate, because even though I've driven EVs in the past, I've never had a chance to live with them. I don't have a charger at home and I've never had to charge out in the public chargers before. I also want to note that even though Rivian let me borrow one of their cars, they didn't tell me what I could say or not say about the R1S. And as a matter of fact, the only thing they did say was they were very curious to know my thoughts after 2 weeks. Towards the end of the video, I'll be sharing what I think about the whole experience with the R1S and my general thoughts on electric vehicles. So I hope you stick till the end. I hope you enjoy it. And thanks again to Rivian. What color do you think it's going to be?
Green.
You said green. I think it's red. It should be arriving any minute.
Oh.
I think you hear someone. Hey, how are you? Look at the wheels. All-terrain wheels.
Very nice.
I won. So prior to this, we had no idea what type of trim they were going to send us. All we knew it was going to be an RS1, but we didn't know the color, the packages, or any of the other features that we were going to get. So it was a very pleasant surprise when they sent us the Tri-Motor in Canyon Red, because that would have been like my personal pick in terms of color. They also included the Sound and Vision package. They included the camping speaker, the built-in air compressor, Rivian's Autonomy Platform Plus, which is basically a suite of driver aids, and also the mildly controversial Connect Plus, because it's a subscription-based feature that lets you integrate your Apple Music, your Spotify, and some other streaming features. Essentially turns your car into a Wi-Fi hotspot. So I'll get to that in this video as well, because a lot of people weren't really a big fan of the subscription model, for good reason. You know what the coolest thing for me is? This. It's a manufacturer's plate. The interior was very interesting. It's a mixture of really nice materials and ones that you can tell are very durable. So Rivian's customer base are people who typically go outdoors and go camping, exploring, I would say Rivian is almost like a more premium Subaru, minus the interior pieces that felt like they were sourced from Walmart. That's at least how I would read that. So I'm just gonna document this because this is very new to me. It's asking me to adjust my seats position. The seats, by the way, are quite comfy. They're a little on the firm side. By no means are they uncomfortable. I'm not a big fan of everything being controlled digitally. Like the vents, for example. That was my first complaint when I first test drove a Rivian a few months ago. Like this is, for example, I can now have this vent point directly towards my face, for example. At this point, I have to address the screen because for one, it's right in front of you. There's no avoiding it. Most of the controls will be done through this touch screen. And second, it's probably the biggest pain point for someone like me to relearn the basic controls just because they had to bury it in software. Now, I'm not going to try to defend the entire philosophy, but I will say that I think I'm starting to understand why. So for example, the only times that I would really adjust the vents in my vehicle is when someone else hops in and adjusts it, right? For example, my wife drives my car and the next time I hop in, everything is different based on her preference. But since the Rivian remembers people's profiles, I can basically set where the vents are, adjust the steering column and even my seats. If my wife were to make her own profile and readjust everything, anytime I hop in, it'll just reset back to how I like it. So I get that, I get the direction. I'm just not really sure if I'm still a big fan of it. I will say though that once I've had everything set to my liking, I never really had to think about it again. I have 81%. Set my phone as a key. Let me just say that it's kind of weird sitting in a car that has no sound at all. It's on, like I can literally just hit the pedal and then start driving. I'm actually gonna close the door. Is that soft close? No, it's not. And then turn on the AC because it's kind of warm in here. Is it on? Oh no, that's the radio. Your electric adventure starts now. Rivian has now access to the Tesla supercharger network. So this Rivian has electrochromic sunroof glass. It's slightly frosted, so it's not completely clear, which is nice because as you can see, the sun over there is beaming straight down into the roof. However, I can also turn on the tint by clicking on this one, and you will see the change. In 3, 2, 1. That's very cool. I've spent about an hour already sitting in this car, just trying to figure out the controls and everything. What makes it complicated is learning the areas where I can actually click on the menu. But for all intents and purposes, if I were to just hop in the car and drive off, it feels like a regular car. This is a very interesting design feature. It doesn't use a physical or a typical door handle. Instead, you have a button to actually open the door. And the door handle pops out. You can easily pull it. So I'm gonna hop in the back seat and see how it feels like. Do I have a handle? I do have a handle. I feel like it's a little too upright, so let me just adjust this. How do I adjust this? Okay, it's a manual lever. It's not powered or anything, but it's no biggie. It feels comfortable. This is the bench style seat, so it's not a captain seat like my Telluride. Have no problems with that. It feels very airy in this cabin if I'm sitting here in the back. I have a digital screen here to control some aspects of the car, like locking the doors, for example. FM radio? Who listens to FM? There is a compass here. Heated seats. USB-C ports here. And I guess I can set the timer for how long I want these two to be active. Design details are really nice. I do appreciate this. They could have just gone with a regular pocket. But this one is, I can't help but appreciate that. Same with this one. Beautifully made. And also, is that USB-C? But this hanger is nice. I like how when I'm sitting here in the back, it doesn't look like a boring cabin. It actually looks really interesting, very premium. Just look at that. This is real wood. You feel the pores. It feels really nice. It doesn't feel cheap. So I'm a short guy, I know this, but I am curious to see how well I fit in the third row. Most likely, if we were to own this car, we probably wouldn't be using the third row at all, because that was the original thinking when we got the Telluride. It just turns out that we just needed a big trunk. Just gonna move this seat forward first. Should make it much easier to just kind of fall into place. Not much room, if I'm being honest. It's usable, but it's not the most comfortable. I can't even put my heels underneath the seat. So the floor kind of swoops up like this. And this is the edge of the seat. And this is basically a wall. So I can't even put my feet under the seat. So I have like that much room. Is it comfortable here? Yes, it's comfortable, but probably not for a very long time. So if you're loading up groceries or anything heavy, it's a lot easier to do that. This one has the all-terrain package. That's why it's got the really big tires and the really nice looking wheels. I just realized that I can actually lower the car if I needed to, which makes it a lot easier to load things up. And then push it forward. A humongous trunk space. So now what I want to do is I want to install the car seats. Our daughter is pretty grown now, so she just needs a booster seat. Gotta drop this in here first. Okay, the headrest is stuck. I'm having trouble raising this though. I see a button here. I'm assuming I don't have to use an app for this. Okay, so I actually had to do a little bit of research on this. Apparently, this is known to be very hard to raise. So I actually went on a Reddit post and they were talking exactly about this. So there are two buttons here. One you can reach in and kind of push, although it's a little bit difficult. But there's another one here on the other side, which is a little bit more recessed. And they said it's actually easier to just kind of poke it with a screwdriver or something while simultaneously pressing this so you can raise the headrest. I don't know why it's designed that way. That can be a little annoying. All right, here we go. I'm gonna try my best not to scratch it at all. Oh, okay. Once you're able to squeeze the right side, the one that's a little bit recessed, it's actually easy. Attach the latch. There we go. The very real part of being a parent. You're always showing your butt to the rest of the world. Okay, that's done. And there we have it. So it isn't any more difficult than installing a car seat in, I don't know, our Telluride. The only problem that it really gave me was the headrest. But yeah, works fine. Day 2 with the Rivian, although technically I've only had this car for a few hours. So I'm still in the process of trying to learn the ins and outs of this vehicle, but I want to figure out how to actually charge. I've driven EVs before, but I've never actually had to charge them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to navigate through the screen right here because I was told that it's the best way. All right, so I'm in the map, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on network, and I guess Rivian and Tesla. Electrify America, I heard, is really not good. Maybe ChargePoint. ChargePoint. 2 of 2 chargers available. Okay. That's cool. I didn't know that it'll actually tell you if it is available or not. And it gives you the address. 2 chargers available. Wait, does that mean that no one's using it, or it's available meaning that it's there? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that one. I'm going to go. And it'll tell me.
West on General Atomics Court.
There you go. So quick note, one of the things that I am not a big fan of, and I understand it's still in the works, meaning they can still improve it, is I don't like the voice of the AI assistant, if that's what you call it. That's my only criticism for now. So this is going to be completely new to me. I know if it's a Tesla charger, I have to connect the adapter first. The charging port is here. Just tap this, and it opens up. So now I'm going to find out if, okay, I can't even pull. Oh, okay. Well, that was tough. I don't need to attach the adapter. I can just plug this in directly and it snaps on. And now is the tricky part. How do I, oh, wait, they gave me a key. Maybe that'll work. So if I tap this, Uh-oh. Back. Authorizing. Okay, so that didn't work. The delivery person said that I think Rivian is supposed to, they were supposed to set me up with a way so that I could charge it. I haven't talked to my contact person yet since it's the holidays. It's actually New Year's Eve. So I'm going to do is I'm going to download the ChargePoint app and actually just sign up and see how I can pay for it myself. What do I do? Do I just tap in? Card rejected. I don't understand. Okay, so none of that's working. I'm gonna try this other charger here. Okay, now it says it's on hold. So I'm charging at a Tesla supercharger station, and this one delivers up to 250 kilowatts. I was at around 30% before I started charging. It'll take about an hour and 18 minutes. The only negative thing that I can say about charging at a Tesla supercharger is that the cord is very short. The Rivian's charging port is in the front. I actually had to move the car a little bit because I wasn't sure, or I didn't know that it was going to be that short. Other than that, just connecting the adapter and then plugging it in was straightforward. In all honesty, I kind of had to fumble a little bit with the charger because it was stuck at that screen that said, you know, charging starting, and it wasn't really starting. So I had to Google it, and apparently I had to make sure that the connector had contact with the actual charger and basically reinsert it again, and then it started. So no problem there. Also, no one told me that for me to remove the charger from the supercharger, I had to push it up first and then pull it down. Because for a few minutes, I was just there dangling and trying to wiggle it free like a monkey. Yeah. I think day 3 or day 4 of having the Rivian, we are getting ready to go to Big Bear.
I broke bubble in my backpack.
Good job. All set? Are you connected to the internet now?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, we're just gonna close the garage and then we're off. First road trip for 2025 in a Rivian. Isn't that cool?
Exciting.
I really like the comfort. It was one of the most comfortable cars I've ever driven. I don't ever remember feeling fatigued at all, even after long drives. And it's also very easy to use. Visibility is amazing. Everyone around you feels so much smaller than you once you're driving the R1S, but it's not difficult to maneuver. Do you like the Rivian? Is it like this or like this? So the plan was, before driving up the mountain to Big Bear, we were gonna stop by the Rivian Adventure Network. And it sounds really fancy and it sounds really exciting. So we were, as you would imagine, excited to see what it was. It was basically just a couple of chargers in a mall parking lot. Okay, you guys can enjoy sitting here while Daddy charges. So I'm assuming it's pretty much the same thing. Okay, so we don't need an adapter for this. Okay, look, this is how it charges. Look, then you'll see how fast it charges. Look at you two, you guys are so pretty. It's really hard to describe what the dynamic lighting was. So it's almost like you're always running high beams, but whenever there's a vehicle in front of you, whether they're going towards you or away from you, it just carves out that little shadow and it prevents those people from being blinded. And it's very apparent when you're driving down mountain roads. It was just amazing. And that's why it's one of my favorite features. Okay, now I just need to park. The cameras are so good, it almost doesn't matter if I back into a parking spot or not. I was joking with my brother and saying that this screen looks more high definition than real life. And it almost feels like it's running at 120 hertz. I know it sounds crazy, but it's a very high resolution camera. So now that I'm here, I hit park. I don't have to do anything else. I literally just walk away. Watch this. And you can see that there's a light in the front. And in the back, that's not the reverse light. Those are courtesy lights. Basically, they'll just stay on for a little bit so that it's easier for you to locate it. All right, so before we head out, I'm gonna warm up the car. Ah, there you go. Took a bit. So seat warmers for both. Cool.
We'll go look for ice cream.
It was actually my birthday that day, and we didn't really have time to plan anything because I had to drive, or we had to drive to Las Vegas the next day for CES. And so we kind of just celebrated there at Big Bear with the most important people in my life anyway. So that's all that matters. The adjustments to driving an electric vehicle isn't that much other than the whole charging aspect. But there is one significant thing that I think is important to note, and that's these vehicles have one pedal driving, meaning you barely have to use the brakes because as you let off the accelerator, the car itself will start braking. It has regenerative brakes. Basically, it tries to conserve the energy, and so it's braking for you. So I barely had to touch the brakes. That being said, when you're on the freeway, unlike a traditional engine, you kind of let off the gas once you have momentum, and the car just keeps going. But for an electric vehicle, the moment you let off the accelerator, it'll start braking. So in essence, you have to always keep your foot down. And that doesn't sound like much, but if you're driving on the freeway for a long time, you're constantly applying pressure on that one leg, it does kind of wear you out a little bit. And this is where you start to appreciate stuff like cruise control. All right, let's go.
Right, Daddy?
Yeah, you said it's a little hard to get out of this car. I did mention I was going to cover my thoughts on the Connect Plus, which is a subscription model. I've seen a lot of talks online about why, Rivian is putting behind the paywall certain features like being able to integrate your music streaming services. But I think that's not how you should look at that service. The way it's explained to me is that Connect Plus is a data plan. It essentially turns the Rivian into a Wi-Fi hotspot. And that's actually perfect for me because whenever we're traveling, my kids are using my hotspot and they drain my data. So whenever we hop into the Rivian, their devices automatically connect to the Rivian as a hotspot. And I don't have to worry about them not being able to connect to my phone or anything like that. You also get Gear Guard, which is essentially a live feed of the cameras through your phone. You can cast media from your phone to the Rivian thanks to Chromecast. And you can integrate your Apple Music and Spotify accounts, as well as your Sirius XM. Now, if you think about that as a package, I think $14 a month or $15 a month sounds reasonable to me. Because for me personally, I would pay $15 for a Wi-Fi hotspot. I mean, just that feature alone. So all the other stuff, to me, that's just a bonus. But it's still a little bit slow. And that's the biggest problem that I have. It's the interface is just a tad bit slow for me to actually enjoy it the way I enjoy Apple CarPlay, for example. So we're up in Big Bear, California, and it gets pretty cold over here. So that means that sometimes the tire pressure can dip. I need to inflate one of the tires. So I'm gonna go pump that up. And the great thing about these Rivians is that they actually include a tire pressure kit. And that is located here underneath. Okay, so I found the part that I was looking for inside the bag. It's this little thing that I need to attach to one of the ends. Basically, that's that. And then we're gonna go in the back. The one thing that I like about the trunk that I do not have in the front is that it does have dome lights at the very top. What you need to do, I wish they had that in the front. And then right here, this one right here, you basically just pull this down and then you plug it in and then it locks in place. Now I think I just have to, let's go to the tire. And go back here. It actually shows you the PSI of that particular tire. So now we just gotta bring it to 43 PSI and then press play. Let's go check it. Just stopped. Is it done? It says 42.5 already. It doesn't say that exactly yet. It says here it's updated at 2:34 p.m. So that means I might have to drive around a little bit for this to actually update. I'm just gonna say it. I feel like a bit of a douche for charging the Rivian at a Tesla supercharger. Only because for me to do that, I have to occupy the wrong parking spot because the cable for the charger isn't long enough to reach the front of the Rivian. So we're on our way to Vegas, and I plotted the address of the hotel. And what's interesting is, since this is the first long road trip we're taking in an EV, it's cool to see that it's actually plotting the chargers along the way. So headed to Vegas from San Diego, we're actually going to pass by one charger, which is in Barstow. So it automatically plots me there. And I guess I'm going to have to charge there for about an hour, 53 minutes before I start heading to Vegas.
Climb.
Oof, she hit your head again.
No.
It would tell you how much charge you will have left once you arrive at your destination. And I just didn't feel comfortable having 20 or 30% left. So I decided to charge one before Barstow, at Barstow, and then once we got to Vegas, charge there again. The upside to that is we didn't have to wait too long for each, every time we're charging at a certain station.
It's charging now.
It's not even charging. It says plug in to charge. It's not even plugged in.
It is.
Here. Okay, is it? I can hear it now. Nope, it's not charging. I could say that we've lived with this car for a few days. That includes charging and just experiencing the different little features that this car has to offer. So I'm gonna ask my wife right now, what are her 3 favorite things about the Rivian?
First one is this.
Panoramic sunroof.
Yes, it's awesome. And the fact that everything just looks so open, big windows.
One of my favorite things about this system is that it's much easier to adjust the fade and balance of the speaker, where you can position where you want the sound to come out of. Much easier than having to toggle different, 2 different settings, which is the fade and the balance for a typical stereo system.
And my second favorite about the Rivian is the Google Cast, I think. So the kids can watch YouTube just like what we did last night.
Yes.
We were waiting in the parking lot.
You can cast videos from your phone to the screen, but that feature is, I think, exclusive to the Connect Plus subscription service that Rivian also offers. My next favorite thing, the interface for the AC. And it's really cool how you can just click on just about every single piece, which is the seat, the steering wheel, and the vents, and easily adjust the temperature and sync them between all the different vents, between the front seats, the middle, and even the third row.
Third favorite thing about this car, because I'm a mom, it's the trunk space and the frunk. The frunk is awesome.
Probably my third favorite is the art style is very cartoony. It's not off-putting. It's actually easier to understand. It's not intimidating, and I think that's one of the reasons why I like it so much.
I think one of your most favorite, actually, that you forgot to mention.
What?
Is the headlight.
The headlight.
You were raving about it.
I was
all
raving.
Night. All
The
day, all night.
dynamic headlights on this thing is very impressive. So there's one thing I wasn't able to capture during this whole trip, and it was the charging network in Barstow on the way to Las Vegas. And as we were exiting, we saw on the other side of the freeway about 20 superchargers with solar roof panels, really nice. You could charge there. There's a bunch of them, and it's just humongous. And I was kind of expecting something you know, similar-ish from Rivian, especially them being a very premium brand. Unfortunately, it wasn't anything like that. It was almost like they were just 4 or 5 chargers next to not a Taco Bell, but definitely a Starbucks. I forgot what it was, but it's very nondescript. And it was very disappointing coming from a really, really nice brand. Actually kind of embarrassing. Now, obviously, Rivian is a much younger company, and to try to establish the same footprint that Tesla currently has, that's a huge feat. And we're just gonna have to give them a little bit more time. But, you know, the experience itself was nice. The chargers were very fast. As a matter of fact, they were definitely faster than the Tesla superchargers in my experience. But then again, these things also kind of change depending on the time of the day. But our experience there was, you know, quite fast. Well, the good news is we made it to CES with no problems at all. So we drove around Vegas. I tried to get a lot of my creator friends to ride in the car and just get their perspective, but it was CES, so it was a little busy. Fortunately, I ran into one of my friends, Happy, and he has his own YouTube channel, but more importantly, he actually has experience driving and owning EVs. He's owned, I don't know how many Teslas he's owned, but he does have a lot of experience when it comes to cars. You have, right? Because
Tesla, yeah. I used to own a Tesla Model S Plaid.
So tell me what you think about the UI.
The UI looks the same to me right now, to be honest, like just looking at it. But honestly, the dashboard, this is good. Especially the wood trim and everything. It looks premium. With Tesla, it looks hollow to me. It like just blank. It doesn't look like a car to me. Yeah. Because I bought the Model S Plaid, and I don't think that I didn't like it. I didn't like it. You returned it, right? You sold it? I sold it. Yeah. I bought it for 161 when they first came out back in 2022 Feb. I was among the first customers, and then I sold it.
So my problem here, I noticed, is like their UI kind of lags.
Tesla UI is smooth. In this car, you'll get the full screen, right? In the Tesla, you'll get like 70%, because 30% is like the UI, the gear selector, because there's no lever.
Oh, because this one has the stock.
Yeah, there's no stock in that car. Even the turn signals were on the steering wheel.
So that's even worse for me, because it's like, to me, not having physical controls was already hard. Yeah. This is real wood.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The material here is nice. It's high quality.
Oh, it also has the Porsche,
the panoramic roof?
No, the electrochromic. Look.
Oh, that's nice.
Right? That's
we don't have that in Teslas.
Yeah.
I like the seats. Even now I realize this. Now even the carpets is yeah, bro, I like the interior. I dig it. Yeah, Tesla material is the worst. Like after 6 months, the steering wheel leather peeled off.
So this one, they designed the interior to feel robust. Like even if it's nice, like they know that the customers who would buy this are outdoorsy people. So even if you have muddy shoes or something, like it's fine.
The quality is nice. To be honest, the interior quality, all the material and everything, it's nice. It's smooth. There's noise in the cabin. There's a little more than I expected, but that's about it.
It's got the bigger tires in the wheels, and the aggressive tires. So maybe that might be it.
Does it get CarPlay?
It does not. So remember, we're in a big car, so it's like it's still flat.
Yeah. Ooh, it's quick.
So for the Tri-Motor variant with 850 horsepower, 0 to 60 time I read was around 2.9 seconds. And of course I had to try that out. And here we go. Yeah, I was not expecting to show you this. So I've been lugging around this big thing, this EcoFlow Wave 2 portable air conditioner. This is actually really heavy, probably around 30 to 40 pounds. Quite heavy to move, and this thing essentially just flew from there to here. No. According to the Rivian, the passenger's airbag is off because you're sleeping. Thankfully, at this point, we've had no issues with the software or anything like that. Although we did experience a weird thing with the passenger airbag sensor. If my wife is laying down, it seems to think that there's no one sitting on that side. But if she props up, and then it turns on again. So, but I think it's mostly because of the way she sits. If you sit a little bit too forward in the, like on the seat, it doesn't seem to detect the person. But if you scoot back, and like fully use the seat, then it knows someone's sitting there. So it's just probably one of those things that Rivian needs to work on. I'm at a Rivian charging center or charging network, and I just want to show you something really quick. So remember, this video is about someone who's completely new to this technology and this product. So I learned that there are 2 different chargers out in public, and maybe you are aware of this already, but I am not. But this is a level 2 charger, basically the old style, and you'll see that it has a smaller, just like a smaller connector. And that can only charge up to a certain speed. I don't know exactly what that is. So the new ones, which has the bigger, like the fancier looking chargers, have the bigger connectors, as you can see here. It's much larger. That also means that when you open up the charging port, there's this flap here that you open up to accommodate the extra prongs or the extra connectors. So the small one, the old one, is connects to that, and the new one you have to open this up. And the reason I learned this is because a very friendly gentleman earlier today saw me charge over at the old charger, and he very politely recommended that I move to one of the new ones because it would take me forever to charge from one of those versus this. And I tried my best to be to educate myself, but honestly, it's still very confusing. There's just so much information out there that it's hard to tell someone new every single thing that they have to know or understand about owning an EV. At this point, we were at almost 2 weeks with the Rivian. We've gotten used to it. We were very comfortable with it, and we just picked up the kids from somewhere and we were headed home. As we were driving home, I remember at the light, someone was honking their horn and they said they were hearing something from the tire. And I looked at the gauges and I could literally see the tire pressure counting down like really, really fast. Fortunately, we were just like a block away from where we lived. So as soon as I parked, you'll see. We got a flat tire.
Oh, it's pretty bad.
I can hear it somewhere. We'll call it luck, but just as soon as we got home, we got a flat tire, and I can hear the hissing. It's definitely a big hole because, yeah, I can feel where the air is. It was a Saturday night. The Rivian service centers were closed. I tried using the app to ask for assistance, and I think the best thing that I could do was schedule an appointment, which was like a month and a half away or something. Like, it was something ridiculous. The car was on an incline and I couldn't change the tires myself. It just didn't feel safe if I were to jack it up. Plus, I didn't know where the jack points were, even though I had a spare tire and it was like a smaller tire. What I did is I reached out to my contact at Rivian, and then they told me they were going to call the service center. Unfortunately, I had to wait until Monday because they were closed during that weekend. Even sadder news, I think, is because that Monday is the time when they were supposed to take the car away from us. And my kids were devastated because we've gotten used to the Rivian. We really loved using it. And we had that one extra day. We were hoping that we can take it somewhere and just like have a lovely day outdoors, but we couldn't make that happen. So Monday comes and the service guy arrives in this really nice Rivian van. I was also curious to know what happened to the tire. So he said he was going to try to fix it if it's even possible. But upon inspection, he found that there was a nail stuck to it and the other side of the tire was basically shredded. So the best thing that he could do was replace the entire tire. He was done in about 30 minutes or so. And the moment he was done, the people who were supposed to collect the Rivian arrived. So yeah, I had to say goodbye to the car. And my kids were upset that they didn't see it.
The Rivian.
Where's the Rivian? Well, we had to return it.
So it's been over 2 weeks?
Yeah. What are my favorite things about the R1S? Well, for one, it's very easy to drive. When I was driving up and down Big Bear, you forget that you're driving a huge car. It was just so nimble and just so easy to maneuver. And it's Also very comfortable considering that it had a very big aggressive tires. You also get that sense that it's a very capable vehicle, so you're never second guessing yourself. The range I found to be pretty accurate, and I never doubted what the computer said. I also appreciate the overall persona of the brand. When we were driving around Las Vegas, where you don't see a lot of Rivians, people were genuinely curious. And it's not the kind of stare that makes you feel like you bought something that was offensive. One other thing that I really loved is the ability to lower the car on the fly or raise it. My least favorite things about the Rivian essentially is the lagginess of the UI. The map also feels a little monochromatic to me because it's very hard for me to locate which buttons to press when the map is up. Visually, I'm just looking for colors when it comes to certain markers. I've gotten used to using the digital display for most of the controls, but the one thing that I really did not like is the lack of a physical lock and unlock button. I think it's really impressive how Rivian has nailed down this design where the R1S looks like it can belong in the rough roads, in the rugged outdoors, and it will actually perform well. And yet when things quiet down and you just want to go out for a nice time, driving around town or going out for dinner, this car also suits it rather well. So what I think about the Tri-Motor is that it is an amazing, amazing configuration. It's so much power that you really don't need it. Even though we've had the car for 2 weeks, I've barely had to actually use even half of the power of that vehicle. If it were my money, I would spec out my own Rivian R1S almost exactly the same way, minus the Tri-Motor. Basically just go with the whatever gets me the most range. And I'm sure it's going to be a lot cheaper than $114,000. The range or the performance was never the issue. It was always going to be the public infrastructure for charging, which it's far from perfect. But to be honest with you, it also wasn't as bad as I was expecting. I think the weird thing is that you don't even have to start anything. You just walk up to the car, it opens up for you, you hop in, and you drive off. And once you park, just exit the vehicle. Listen, anything that's new can be quite scary, but when you're forced to change familiar habits, now that's a little bit daunting. So thankfully the R1S was fun enough for us to explore on our own, and it kind of just took the edge off. It wasn't as intimidating or as scary as I originally thought it was going to be. It's as simple as you need it to be and complex if you want it to be. Meaning if you just want to hop in a vehicle and drive off, you can totally do that. But if you want to go deeper and see what other customizable things that you can do with the R1S, let's just say that the 2 weeks wasn't enough for me to actually explore all of them. So what the R1S really did for us is raise our standards for what we would like our own family electric SUV to be like. We want it to be fun to drive, we want it to be nice to look at, and even just nice to sit in. So yeah, after our first experience living with an electric vehicle, we thought we were gonna be fine. We weren't, because we still miss it to this day.